It didn't.
That's what was just touching, it is.
Absolutely.
Even
All
when I have
right.
nothing left, like as the song revealed, even if I have nothing left, don't let the light in me dawn. So that was very inspiring.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Oops. All right. All right. So it's time now for Susan and Michelle and Susan and Myrna. Susan Michelle, this mic is all yours.
Hi, this is Susan Michel. I am here in Western Massachusetts. It is great to be here as always. I am the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. I teach the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles, which we are all here to study, to learn, to embody the knowledge of. And I have my good friend and soul sister, Myrna Skoller, here with me today from Boca Raton, Florida. Myrna is the author of Private Lessons with Jesus, which is a great complement to the Course in Miracles workbook for students. How are you today, Myrna?
Very well. It was a beautiful, beautiful day today. I got up this morning and it was really the onset maybe of fall in Florida, which really we felt some cool breezes, which was a welcome reprieve here today. It was a gorgeous day. So I'm
That
very
sounds
happy about that.
beautiful.
And I
That sounds
saw
beautiful.
your picture. You kind of settled your boat down for the season, and you had a great picture of you celebrating on the boat on Facebook. It was wonderful, in a way.
Thanks. Yeah, Joe and I, well, the weather here in Massachusetts is picture perfect right now. The mornings are cool. The midday is hot, full sun. It's like, I guess, California weather. Oh, excuse me. We took the boat out for the last time on Sunday. So it
Yeah.
was just a really beautiful day. I was out on the tube and it was just really, really fun. Had an espresso martini. So it was just like the perfect day on the boat, but we're wrapping up summer here. So it was my last hurrah. But thank you for that comment about my picture. So I will start today's talk as I usually do with the introduction of my book and what I write, a little paragraph that got downloaded to me quite a few years ago from my higher power was my sustenance money. I hear something. Okay, now it stopped. What I write in the introduction is my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection to all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with three simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. There is nothing to find in the world because the external world is a reflection of an internal condition. We're always creating our own reality. So it's like life is a movie. We are the director, we are the producer, we are the leading actor, but we are always writing our script, whether that be consciously or unconsciously. So it's very important to just take responsibility of what we're experiencing in our lives. A Course in Miracles is very clear that all thinking produces form on some level. That's why it's really important to discipline our mind to focus on unconditional love as often as possible. Today, I had a really empowering start to my day. Life threw me a little curveball yesterday, which maybe I'll talk about later today. But this morning, I woke up early. I listened to the Course in Miracles workbook lesson of the day. Today we are on lesson 273, which is a very powerful lesson. The subject line states, "The stillness of the peace of God is mine." So I listened to the lesson of the day on YouTube from a couple of my favorite Course in Miracles teachers. And then I went into a 30-minute meditation, which I haven't done in quite some time. And it was just really, really powerful because, life is always going to be challenging us. This world, this life is a classroom. As we say often, everything is either a lesson or a blessing. The blessings are enjoyable, and the lessons are challenging, but many times life's lessons teach us more than life's blessings because, we learn through our challenges. And despite what's going on in the external world, the just as lesson 273 states, the stillness of the peace of God is mine. So that peace is always available to us. When challenging times arise, that peace is available to us. When good times arise, it's important not to get too caught up in the good stuff either, because everything is transitory, and what's always with us though is God. It's so important to keep ourselves plugged into our God socket. So no matter what is reflected in our external world, okay, we're creating the circumstances. Many times we're creating these circumstances to learn from, but even when life gets turbulent, we always have our connection to God to go to embody. I started the day off again. I ran. It was such a beautiful run, and I was reciting a Course in Miracles lesson. I was also reciting the line, "I embody the innocence. I embody my innocence. I embody the innocence of God." And I think to connect to God's innocence, to connect to our own innocence, to just step into the mindset of complete forgiveness is so empowering. And because life gave me a curveball yesterday, I was determined to reconnect to God, to source energy, to my higher self. And it was a very empowering meditation that I had this morning. Any thoughts, Myrna?
Yeah, I was thinking about you and you always open by saying, "My passion is God." And I realize that that's really what the common denominator between us is, our passion for God, because I also feel that way, passionate about God. And this didn't just happen overnight, I'm sure. I mean, even as a little girl, thinking back, I remember feeling needing to have that knowledge that I remembered God. I remember that as a young child. And I think if most of us, I think we're all born with that. We realize where we came from because we're so new to the world. And if it isn't obliterated in our thought system by the world, then just think of what we could go on to become. I mean, think about that. If that understanding and realization was understood and motivated me even that much more, I think I would have avoided a lot of the havoc and difficulties that I experienced growing up as a young adult until I reconnected to that realization that God and I are one. So once that connection was made, it was an extraordinary revelation because it was something that I recognized. When I started looking for God again it was almost with a passionate intent. I was going to bookstores. I was trying to read everything I possibly could. I wanted to stay within that final reunion, with that reunion with God in my adult years, which I finally began to develop with greater clarity, with greater conviction. And it's just amazing that if we allow that light within us, the light of God, just to remain untouched, we can always go back to it. We can always become aware that whatever we need is certainly available. Just in understanding that God loves us. Um, and to me, that opened up a lot of doors. I've healed a lot of my difficulties, my fears, and so forth. I now more than ever, uh, I'm able to connect with God because, as I think I know I mentioned it last time, and I'll mention it again, that I have the complete desire to absolve any unpleasant, unwelcome thoughts that may pop into my mind that are not pleasing, that are not helpful in any way. Those are ego thoughts. And we're so used to those thoughts that we think that it is part of who we are. And I'm able now to separate that from the true thoughts that I really need to be savoring and enjoying on a daily basis. And you mentioned today's lesson, and the line itself here says, which I like, lesson 273. If we give way to a disturbance, let us learn how to dismiss it and return to peace. We need but tell our minds with certainty, the stillness of the peace of God is mine, and nothing can intrude upon the peace of God himself has given to his son. And that is just what I was talking about, that a disturbance enters our mind. We can rid ourselves of it. The way I do it, I don't say, well, it's a good thing to say, the stillness of the peace of God is mine. I say, I have no need for this thought. And it's amazing how that works for me. It's something, believe it or not, I recently discovered in my daily activity, to not allow anything to intrude upon my peace. So I just wanted to kind of bring that out, Susan.
Yeah, thank you for your share. Robert wrote in the chat room a few minutes ago, having a heart for God is the common thread here. Because as I started this talk with, I always use those words, my passion is God. And it's like, what is God? It's important to really define God clearly. I believe God is source energy that is unconditional love. There is no fear in God. There is no guilt in God. There is no negativity of any kind in God. God is just pure love. And God is something that I am a part of. Growing up in the Lutheran church, I was taught that God was outside of me. I was taught that God was above me. I imagined, this man with a long white beard and a long white robe that looked a little like Santa Claus sitting on a throne with a crown in the clouds. That's how I imagine God. And when I prayed to God, I didn't pray for too long because I didn't want to take up too much of his attention, because I knew there were a lot of little boys and girls all over the world that needed God's attention, and I didn't want to be selfish. And now A Course in Miracles is teaching me things so much differently. God is not something outside of me. God is something that I am a part of. God is kind of the essence of who I am. So I am a part of him. So when I'm praying to him, I'm praying to this source, this entity of unconditional love that I am a part of. And it's not something outside of me. And when I pray to God, I'm not taking his time and attention away from anyone else. We can all pray continuously to God, and we're not selfish by doing that. We're actually selfless, because the more that we can connect to this energy that is unconditional love, the more we can contribute to the sonship, the more we can contribute to the world. So God wants us to pray to him as often as possible. I mean, we can all reside in a state of prayer, and that doesn't weaken the sonship. That doesn't take his love away from others. When we pray to God and we connect to God, which is this power of unconditional love, we increase the love in the sonship. So it's very different than what I learned in this Lutheran church growing up. And this entity of unconditional love, which I call God, but you don't have to call him God. You can call him whatever you want. He is this source of unconditional love. And when we can align our mind with our creator, there is nothing that we cannot do. All power is ours when we are completely dependent upon God. Course in Miracles says, we don't know our real power until we recognize our complete dependence upon God our Father. Because when we are completely dependent on God the Father, there is nothing that we cannot do. I mean, that's what Jesus Christ did when he was in body form. He recognized his complete dependence upon God the Father, and he knew that that miracles were his birthright, because he was a part of God, and he lived on this earth to teach us the power that is available to all of us when we discipline our minds. A Course in Miracles tells us that we are much too tolerant of mind wandering. And as you pointed out, Myrna, it's just so important to focus on the energy of unconditional love as often as possible, and this is when we are able to be the miracle worker that we were born to be. This is when we're able to be a conduit for God's divine miracles. I mean, the Course in Miracles tells us that we were all given everything that we could possibly want when we were born. The world can't satisfy any of our needs, because nothing in the world is real. The only thing that's real is love. And we were given so much love when we were born. But in order to know how much love is available to us, we need to give it away. The only way we get to keep it, the only way to know how much love is within us is to extend it to our brothers. That's why in A Course in Miracles, Jesus is teaching us how to be a conduit for God's divine miracles. Anything that comes from love is a miracle. We have everything that we need within us, but the only way to know it's there is to give it away, to extend that love to our brother. A Course in Miracles says that each and every moment we either extend or project. Projecting our fear is going to bring unhappiness to our mind. It's going to bring angst to our mind. It's when we're connected to the ego. To extend God's love is the only way to get the peace that our soul is craving. And it's always God's unconditional love is always available to us. And that's why today I made a conscious effort. Life threw me a curveball yesterday that I really focused on forgiving. And this morning I woke up, I started the day with the Course in Miracles lesson. I meditated for 30 minutes. And then when I went on my morning run, as I usually do, which is so beautiful, I just started loving everybody that I passed. And it really helped me to plug myself back into my God socket. Any thoughts, Myrna?
I like that expression, plugging into my God socket. We all have that connection that's available to us. And as this lesson tells us, the stillness of the peace of God is mine. And what is that all about? How do I access the stillness of the peace of God? And that is to be peaceful and to acquire peace whenever we can and how we can. And certainly, the love that we can instill to our brothers or extend to our brothers is what you said before. You want to give it away. You don't want to keep it. There's nothing to keep. It's all about extending it and knowing that there's plenty there for everyone. And it made me to realize that anyone can have the peace of God, anyone who wants to be free, anyone who wants to feel the peaceful energy, the peacefulness that is there. It's just there for the taking when we think about it. It really is not a difficult thing to do, and it's not a difficult choice to make. Once we realize that just let it happen, let it be, know the love that is completely available to all of us. And, we work so hard at it, and maybe it's a good thing to work at it because if we don't practice it, then the ego's intrusive behavior infringes on our peace. And then we forget God. We forget what we're really meant to do, what we're really here to become manifest in the world. What should become manifested in the world is as we experience peace, love, experiencing, holding on to it, and then extending it, recognizing that everyone is privy to this. And, we talk about this, you and I, we've studied it, we talk about it, and it's such a great commonality to have that we can, agree on. One thing that we can agree on that nobody can dispute is that God's love is available to all of us. And this, sorry about that. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's just available. It's there for the taking. How do I take it? When I feel that the ego's world is becoming more prominent than the world of love, world of God, the peace of God, then it's time to step back and say, wait a minute. Just shut off the TV, shut off the noises of the world, and concentrate on the surrounding peace that is everywhere. If we just are inspired by it. And I love, when you say you run along the reservoir and just stay within nature, that in itself brings peace because we notice, you know, pieces of nature that for me becomes awesome. Seeing a bird with beautiful colors, watching the little salamanders that kind of come into my garden and just watching them is really fascinating. Um, so, a tree is fascinating. Uh, 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 I love colors. I think that when I picture myself heaven bound, what I do is see is a lot of beautiful colors, a garden, and focusing on that is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I love colors too.
Yeah.
My favorite colors are purple and yellow. I think
Oh, I
purple
love
is
purple
symbolic
too.
of passion. I just remember when I was a kid, my mother said I could paint my room whatever colors I wanted to. So I decided to paint the walls purple and the ceiling yellow. And I remember she let me do it. And they were such cool colors. They weren't very common way back when, especially not combined. But now there are a lot of companies that use those two colors. I know Planet Fitness, the gym, is one of the companies that uses the purple and yellow together. And I've seen quite a few companies use that blend. So, yeah, colors are wonderful. So I'm going to go into the chat room here, and Robert wrote, our legion of seeming individual prayers. I think this is when I was talking about praying to God. And as a kid, not praying too much because I didn't want to take God's time and attention away from other kids who needed him more than me until I realized that thinking was not clear. So this is when Robert made that comment. Our legion of seeming individual prayers are only one voice in his ears. Yeah, very nice, very nice. Thank you, Robert. Um, I have heard from different teachers that prayer is asking, talking to God. Meditation is listening to his words, because during meditation, we're kind of releasing any egoic distractions. We're silencing our mind, and it's only within the silence of our mind that we can hear God's voice, which goes hand in hand with today's lesson. Again, today's lesson states, the stillness of the peace of God is mine. There is a biblical sentence that reads, be still and know that I am God. So we are all sons and daughters of our Father. We are all a part of God. But the only way we can feel the truth of who we are is to silence our mind, to release all those egoic distractions. The egoic distractions, they're kind of like clouds that are blocking the sun, clouds that are blocking God's voice. So when we can release the egoic distractions, when we can release those clouds, we can hear God's voice. And God's voice is really our own voice, but it's our own voice when we are connected to our highest self, our highest wisdom, our self with a capital S. So God is always talking to us. But again, we need to still our mind to hear what he is saying. And when we are truly listening to the voice of God, we feel at peace. That's what I realized today, because yesterday, again, I was thrown a curveball. So the ego really kicked in hard, and today I was determined, because of the challenge that I encountered yesterday. I was determined to hear God's voice. And I realize when I'm focused on love, God's voice comes in very clear. When I'm focused on grievances or resentments or fear, I can't hear God's voice. When I'm focused on love, my heart is at peace. When I feel guilt, when I feel resentment, then I start to feel angst within me. So that was really clear to me. And again, I don't necessarily think what happened yesterday was good, but I do think it was a lesson. I mean, somebody said something to me that really hurt my feelings. So she was not coming from her higher self when she said it. But again, if I respond with anything other than love and forgiveness, she would pull me into that ego terrain with her. I mean, think of what happened. I was listening to Course in Miracles today on Audible, and Jesus was talking about the crucifixion, the message of the crucifixion. If Jesus had just screamed out in anger when he was being walked to the cross, well, that would not have been the lesson that the world needed to learn at that time. And now, I mean, Jesus was tortured, he was killed, and he was completely innocent. He never did anything to hurt anyone, and he was tortured and he was killed. And his response is, God, please forgive these people. They know not what they're doing. So he saw through their anger, he saw through their fear to the love that resided within their hearts. He saw his commonality with the people that were victimizing him, with the people that were crucifying him. And that's what made what he did so important and so beautiful. And if he could love the people that tortured him to the extreme that they did, I can certainly love people that say things that hurt my feelings. I mean, we all can. We all have the power of Christ within us. Jesus taught us everything that he did, we can do also and more. That's biblical. What I have done, you can do also and more. Go thou and do likewise. That's biblical, and that's a core teaching of A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles is teaching us to do what Jesus did. It's teaching us to be like Jesus was, because we all have that Christ consciousness within us. I was listening to a podcast on YouTube by the late Wayne Dyer, who was a Course in Miracles student, very wise man, very wise soul. He was speaking about the one commonality that enlightened people have, the one commonality that enlightened people share, and that is the ability to be still, to just focus upon those moments between thoughts, and strive to live in that space of openness, because there is a place between our thoughts that is still. And when our mind is completely quiet, then we can hear the voice of God. And God is always telling us how much he loves us. God is always telling us how beautiful we are. God is always telling us that we are completely innocent, that we are completely loved. And when we can hear that voice, we know the truth of who we are, and we can extend that to our brothers. And if we could all just access that voice of God as often as possible, think what a beautiful place this world would be. We would just pass our brothers and sisters on the street, and we would just tell them how much we love them, and it would be sincere. And the reason we would be able to love our brothers is because we would feel that love for ourselves within our own heart. And then Robert just wrote a nice chat here that looks really beautiful. So I think I'm going to read it. Thank you, Robert. I love your shares. As an extension of your thought, I considered applying the idea that sometimes less is more. Be still and know that I am God. Ooh, this is really good. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be. Very beautiful, Robert. Thank you. I mean, A Course in Miracles is also very clear that words are nothing more than communication devices. The truth of God, I mean, revelation, knowing our beingness, knowing who we truly are, is an experience. Words can help us get there. I mean, what is A Course in Miracles? A Course in Miracles is a book of words. Words can help us attain that enlightened state. Words can help us recognize the truth of who we are. Words can help us to remember how much love we have within us. But the experience of God is beyond words. The experience of God is felt, is revealed when our mind is still. And that's what everyone craves. That's what everyone craves deep down, whether they're aware of it or not, whether they're a Course in Miracles student or not. Everyone craves that peace of God, that stillness, that love, this place of unconditional love. And we've all felt it at times. And it's just so empowering, and it's so so beautiful when we can embody it, right, Myrna?
Yeah, you said a lot. A lot of good things came from, what you were saying, and it's all true. I mean, how can any of this be denied? The phrase is not "be still and know that I am God" is really, it's a biblical phrase from one of the Psalms from the Bible. And even, whether it be the Bible, the Course in Miracles, any teaching is representative of the fact that we must be still in order to hear God's voice. So it's the stillness that we strive for. It's the quiet that we strive for. And in the world of turmoil, it's almost impossible to find it there. So if we can set our self aside and just go into that mode of stillness, of truth, then then we become so much more enlightened just from that, because that leads to the understanding that we're connected to God, and God gives us all that we need to know. We just have to leave ourselves open and available to that, to Him, to that type of healing. And You said before, and we've often said this, that everything in life is a lesson or a blessing. And if you're not learning from it, from the lessons, that really isn't a blessing, really. But if you're willing to learn from the lesson, whatever the lesson may be, lessons of strife, lessons of guilt, lessons of argumentative behavior, just as you said, somebody told you or said something that hurt your feelings, well, you were able to understand that it really has nothing to do with you. It has to, what's more important and what really needs to be understood more than anything is your own peace of mind. And if we allow other people's words to, uh, you know, um, sort of to become inhibiting in a way, then we're not really applying the phrase, be still, know that I am God. I mean, God is all forgiving, and certainly I've learned that. I've learned that I've been forgiven. I've been certainly we've done things, all of us, that perhaps we can when we bare our souls, we say, "My God, was that really me? Was that who I really am?" But what gives me comfort is to know that I am no longer that person that I thought I was, that ego that I thought I was. What I've become so aware of is that I am connected to something far greater than just the smallness of the ego, just the ego's dictatorship, really, because that's what the ego is. I mean, it is more or less a dictator, and people, are far too open to accepting that type of rhetoric that comes from the chatter of the mind. Uh, and to reduce the chatter, and to give it everything we have to get to silence it is, I think, the greatest learning experience of all. And that is the lesson, and as well, it's a blessing to be able to know that all we really have to do to connect to God is to leave ourselves open and available to Him, to His love, and the love that it's indescribable. I've gone to God in the past, humbly with tears, and those are the greatest moments, because those are the moments that I'm willing to listen. To listen. Those are the moments that I yearn for peace, and those are the times that I've gained the most peace in my life. And now I feel like I'm coasting. Now I'm kind of coasting above the waves. I'm sort of, riding the waves very lightly. I'm being held above the uh, the chaos of the world. And when I say I'm floating, it means that, to me, it means that I can relate to the peace of God much more readily than I ever was. And that took years of experience, years of pain and suffering, as well as the realization that finally came out of that there's no need for that. And of course, we have all the help we need. I mean, we have the Course in Miracles, we have sages that speak to us. We listen to people all the time, that we have our lessons right here, that we discuss. We have Gather. We have, Gather for A Course in Miracles, people that come together to discuss this, to embody the knowledge of, and to share it. And this help everywhere. All we do is just be open to it.
Yes. You reminded me, I remember once I was doing an event, and someone walked into the store and he had a t-shirt of Jesus on a surfboard, just kind of riding the wave. Because when I don't know, think of Jesus, I always like to envision myself, holding the hand of Jesus, allowing him to guide me. And when I think of him just standing on a surfboard as this gentleman's shirt portrayed and just kind of riding the waves, it's such a beautiful, freeing image, just allowing the waves to carry us through life, and not struggling against the wave, not pushing against the wave, but just allowing the waves to carry us. I also think just really enjoying the ocean is such a freeing experience as well. A few weeks ago, I went to Long Island and for a wedding. And both days we were there, we went to Jones Beach and just like enjoying the salt water, enjoying the waves. I mean, it was just such a beautiful way to remember God. I mean, nature can really bring us closer to our true self, which is just connected to God, connected to source energy, connected to the power of love. I had a friend of mine, and this is something else that I repeat frequently because I like to remember it, that the three things that can really bring us closer to the truth of who we are, the things that can reconnect us with innocence: nature, animals, and children. And I love that analogy because, what they have in common is they just are who they are. They're innocent. They have no recollection of time. They're just living every moment in the present. I mean, a flower is a flower. A flower blooms when it's time to bloom. He doesn't struggle to bloom. He doesn't try to bloom. He just blooms naturally because that's what a flower does. And then you think of animals. I pass animals on my run each morning. And I mean, again, animals are who they are. They don't have to prove to anyone else that they're good enough. They just they don't know what time it is. They just are who they are. There's this one really nice gentleman that I always see on my run. He's usually walking in one direction and I run past him in the opposite direction. And I never stop to talk to him because I can't, because I'm running, and I'm always kind of timing my mile. But what he always says to me as I run past him is, "Oh, I just saw a deer. Look over there to the right. You'll see two beautiful deer," and he's very conscious and aware of the deer and the animals. I think once I passed him, ooh, there was a big turtle. Did you see the big turtle? But he just loves the animals, and I love his passion for the animals because I think that's beautiful. And then also, the third way to really remember the truth of who we are, connect to our innocence, be fully present in the moment, is children. Because children, again, they just are who they are. Yesterday, after I had my little emotional challenge where my feelings got hurt, I went into the grocery store and I pushed my cart behind someone else's cart, and there was a little 2-year-old boy, and he just looked at me. He didn't know I was in a bad mood. He just looked at me, and he was actually crying when I pulled my cart up behind him. But then when I stopped, he stopped crying. He looked at me and he just waved, and it was very cute. I mean, something about him just calmed me, and I waved back and we waved back and forth. And after a few minutes, he wasn't crying anymore. He was laughing and he was playing. So I think that's why we need each other to get home to heaven. So when I can connect to the innocence of a child, when I can connect to the innocence of animals, when I can connect to the innocence of nature, I can just remember the truth of who I am. And that's such a beautiful thing. The truth is always available to us. It's something that we are a part of when we can align our mind with the mind of God, when we can align our mind with the truth of who we are, then we just kind of uh, surrender. That's a good word. I love that word. That's why it's the title of my book, Surrender to Joy. We just surrender to this place of peace that we are all a part of. Surrender is not about giving up. Sometimes they use that phrase in wars, never surrender, never surrender. Well, that's not really uh, a great definition of surrender. Surrender is just, I mean, in my mind and how I use the word, surrender is just accepting what is completely. Don't resist it. Don't fight against it. Just accept whatever is in your life completely, and that's the way to be still and know that I am God. Just surrender to every single thing in your life exactly as it is, and you can remember the truth of who you are. I went into ChatGPT and I wrote, "Be still and know that I am God," because I'm really loving ChatGPT lately. And ChatGPT wrote, "That's a beautiful verse. It comes from Psalm 46, verse 10 in the Bible. It's often understood as an invitation to quiet the mind, let go of striving, and rest in the awareness of God's presence and sovereignty." Very beautiful, ChatGPT. Thank you, thank you. And then Robert just wrote, "A great story of true presence, fully aware of all around him, yielding to what is." Thank you, Robert. Any final thoughts, Myrna?
No, you said it all. You said it beautifully. I really, yeah, you surrender, and using that word in a beautiful way. What greater way to surrender, but to establish the peace of God in that surrender.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you, Myrna. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Lynn. What a beautiful time here in Gather for A Course in Miracles. And thank you for just helping me to remember how much love is available to me at each and every moment. I love this platform. Thank you, thank you. And as A Course in Miracles says, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. The only thing that's real is the love. And it's now 2:30, so I will return the microphone to Lynn. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Susan. Thank you, Myrna. Thank you, everyone. What a great hour this has been. I'm so grateful for you. And yeah, you guys make a great tag team. All right. Thanks all so much for being here. Um, we will see you tonight for Finding Our Inner Guide. We have Sandy Levy Lundeen who will be here again, and she's going to come do the second part of the special and holy relationship discussion. So please join us here at 7 p.m. Eastern for that same thing. 7 p.m. Eastern, yeah, and at
Okay.
the same link. All right, you guys. Love you all.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Bye,
And bye,
Susan. Bye,
Rusty.
Lynn. Bye, Robert. Bye.
Love you all. Bye-bye.